Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, my ministerial colleagues from across the Indian Ocean, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here not to deliver a speech. You're going to get a full substantive diet of speeches. But let me just start by first saying on behalf of Singapore that we're deeply honored that the inaugural Indian Ocean Conference is being held in Singapore. And we thank the India Foundation and the Rajaratnam School for choosing to host it here, as well as the participation from the other institutes from across the Indian Ocean. I just want to make three simple points. The first is that if you consider what the Indian Ocean has transmitted over a period of 2 or even 3,000 years, you will see that historically this was the conduit for language. Even today in Southeast Asia, you will see the impact of Sanskrit. It was a conduit for religion. Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam came across the conduit of the Indian Ocean. It was also a conduit for trade. And when you talk about maritime silk routes, if you talk about the spices, again, this early nascent trade, this proto-globalization, was also born across the waves of the Indian Ocean. If you now shorten your time horizon to just the last 250 years, to the Industrial Revolution, the Indian Ocean also bore the vanguard of colonialism. It's interesting that if you think about shipping in the Indian Ocean before the Industrial Revolution, it was merchant ships. It was people migrating. It was ideas moving. I have had to search pretty hard to find a single example of a major naval confrontation in the Indian Ocean. But after the Industrial Revolution, which we all know began in Europe, the ships that now traversed the Indian Ocean now not only carried cargoes and trade and ideas and language or religion, but were also instruments of colonialism. And across the entire periphery of the Indian Ocean, all of us, I think I can safely say, all of us were colonized. And it's only been in the last 70 years that the shackles of colonialism were lifted and we've embarked into a new age. If you now shift your focus to where we are today, the Indian Ocean is an ocean in which 80% of all seaborne trade traverses. There's no question that it is an essential conduit, that all of us depend on it for our development, and how we handle the challenges of the Indian Ocean and resolve our differences will also have a profound impact on our future development. The final point I actually wanted to leave with all of you was that if you now project the next 50 years, what are the possibilities? What is the prognosis for the countries that all of us represent, this arc around the periphery of the Indian Ocean? And I wanted to quote what my Prime Minister said in Washington when he was asked the same question. What is the world going to look like in 50 years? And my Prime Minister said, well, it depends. If we have a world which believes in interdependence and therefore progresses by mutual cooperation and has an inclusive architecture and therefore puts a high premium on peace, then we have a golden age ahead of us. On the other hand, if we make the mistake of aiming for narrow insular independence and rivalry and exclusion and an exclusive architecture, and therefore defined by hostility and the projection of force. I think the world will be very different. So in a sense, this choice between an interdependent world characterized by cooperation and development versus a narrow, exclusivist, independent world defined by rivalry and might. That is the central challenge, the central political challenge of our time for all of us on the Indian Ocean. And I hope that we will learn the lessons of history. We will not repeat the mistakes and the injustices of the past, but actually reap the potential of the future, because there is one more trend that is going to sweep across the Indian Ocean, and that is that if you look at Africa, the Indian subcontinent, and Southeast Asia, these are three major regions of the world who are just about to reap a demographic dividend, meaning, unlike Northeast Asia, unlike Europe, we have lots of young people. We have young people who have high hopes and high demands on us politicians, and who demand and expect a better life, a fairer life, and a brighter future. So I hope that I've left you with enough food for thought and set up the stage for the more substantive speeches that you'll hear from now. So thank you once again for all of you for being here. Have a wonderful time in Singapore. Thank you.